Hello, beautiful and beloved ones. This is Lorelei from the Tightrope to 5D Music Reactions, and welcome! And if you wonder about that weird title, stick around to the end. I'm going to give you a special message about this historic shift from third dimensional consciousness to fifth dimensional consciousness, never before happened for the entire population. But up until then, we're going to do this reaction to Leah Salonga on my own from Les Miserables. And by the way, I'm wearing my Charlie Kirk Freedom shirt. See it there? Here we go. So have you seen Les Miserables, my friends? You probably have if you're watching this. I've played a long time ago, so I have to remember this song.
And now I'm all alone again, nowhere to turn, no one to go to. Without a hope, without a friend, without a face to say hello to. And now the night is near, now I can make believe he's here. Sometimes I walk alone at night when everybody else is sleeping. I think of him and then I'm happy with the company I'm keeping. The city goes to bed and I can live inside my head. On my own, pretending he's beside me. All alone, I walk with him till morning. Without him, I feel his arms around me. And when I lose my way, I close my eyes and he has found me.
Yes, wow, she's so invested in the role, isn't she? You guys turned me on to this one, by the way, so thank you. But she's so, just completely in the role, like we say, in character, in the theatrical business. Wow.
In the rain, the pavement shines like silver. All the lights are misty in the river. In the darkness, the trees are full of starlight, and all I see is him and me forever and forever. And I know it's only in my mind that I'm talking to myself and not to him. And although I know that he is blind, still I say there's a way for us. I love him, but when the night is over, he's gone. The river's just a river. Without him, the world around me changes. The trees are bare and everywhere the streets are full of strangers. I love him, but every day I'm learning. All my life I've only been pretending.
We got to go back and hear that. I mean, just look at how she's she's so invested and she's giving her all. She's giving her everything to this right now. And you know, this is not really quite a belt, if you will, because it's so lyric, but it's up there, and it's still got the beautiful lyricism to it, as opposed to, I don't see it as a belt. Maybe some of you other singers out there can tell me, but it's still very lyrical. Hold on. So it's strong but lyrical. Here, that's what I'm saying.
It's gone. The river's just a river. Without him, the world around me changes. The trees are buried everywhere. The streets are full of strangers. I love him, but every day I'm learning. All my life, I've only been pretending. Without me, his world will go on turning. A world that's full of happiness that I have never known. I love him. I love him. I love him. But only on my own.
So beautifully sung, so beautifully sung. I mean, the songs in that Les Miserables are so beautiful, no question about it. And she just knocked it out of the ballpark, didn't she? I felt like I was there, like I was part of the audience watching it. So powerful. Ah, wow. It's extraordinary. She's just extraordinary. So now, though, if I had to put the song on my scale of how much it pulls us toward the fifth dimension, the peace, the love, the joy, the bliss, the fun, the ease, the oneness, the unity, that's a 10. Or third dimension, fear, pain, sadness, anger, angst, suffering, that's a 1. There's a kind of a fair amount of suffering and pain in this song. And feeling alone is definitely a third dimensional thing as opposed to a fifth dimensional. Now, it's not super fifth dimensional, just your sheer sound of it and the fact that it's about love. It's not super third dimensional because, anything about love has some elements of the fifth dimension because that's all love there. But the fact that she's longing for the love from another person, right? And instead of getting that love that she needs from the divine, from the creator, from the higher beings, whatever, but to long for it in that person, that longing, that attachment to it is definitely a third dimensional thing. So, but then you got the sound and the beauty and the way she sang it. Oh, ha, ha. So I think I'm going for like a 6.5 on this one because the sound and the beauty of it is pulling us upward, but the story is kind of pulling us a little back. Now, if you had to say how well she did it, that's another story. That's not what I'm talking about here. That's like 20 on a scale of 1 to 10. She did so great. But that's not, we're talking about how much it pulls us to the higher dimensions. So that you can determine what songs you want to listen to if you want to be on that path. What will uplift you? That's the question. So, great job. By the way, if you enjoyed this video, could you please give it a like? Give her a like. That was extraordinary. It's in the notes, her video. And subscribe to my channel. So this is a very, very powerful song. It reminds me of that one. What is that one? Midnight, not a sound from the pavement. Has the moon lost her memory? She is smiling alone. I always want to sing that one, by the way, at some point. Maybe I'll sing it in my new video channel. By the way, I have a new tiers that you can get on, okay, for my videos. You can get on 3 different tiers. One of them is special reactions that nobody else has. That's great. By the way, you can't just do any old reaction on YouTube, because if you get one that doesn't get you the views, then all the rest after it, YouTube won't push out. So you have to be very careful. So I'm going to give you special ones that I just particularly want to do, or that you have requested. And then on the second tier, I'm going to give you strings of your favorite artists. So for instance, I might give you a string of this one, or a string of So Young, or a string of Eric Grunwald, or whatever, you know. So that's what I'm going to do. Strings of your favorite artists, like several of them in a row. So that's a great channel. And the top channel is where I'm going to give you uplifting content, such as meditations or songs, or I'm going to be reading spiritual readings, the I Am discourses, all that kind of stuff. So that's a really good one too, and I hope you'll join me there. And if you want to know just generally about me, you can go to the About Me video on this channel, which also leads you to a longer video about what I call my Forged in the Fire journey. Forged in the Fire 3D. And you can also go to the About Lorelei link in the notes on Patreon. You can see the various things I've created that might be of interest to you. So, okay, let's get to my 5th dimensional message today, which is questioning the programming. Deprivation and scarcity. So in my last video, I talked about this concept of, have we been programmed? Are we still being programmed? I'd like you to watch that video, at least watch the message in there, so you can kind of catch up to what I'm talking about. And this is now questioning the program. So I'm asserting that yes, there is a level of programming that's been happening over the eons of humanity, and that it's been coming from the individuals who have the power and the desire to kind of control the population. And most of them that are in that position, that are doing that, are probably not very nice folks. Now we're questioning the program. And in the arena today of deprivation and scarcity, did you ever consider that it could be possible that, first of all, I'm speaking to you who have lived with a sort of a feeling of deprivation or scarcity. Right? There are some people who have always felt like, oh, very comfortable with money, and they don't have that going on. But I'm going to assert that a lot of the population has deprivation and scarcity going on. It's right here in this song. The entire French Revolution was a reaction to the deprivation and scarcity that they had. And the Queen saying, let them eat cake, which arguably she may not have exactly said that way, or meant it in a bad way, or anything like that. And we understand that, historically speaking, that may have been taken out of context. But that still, they were in such scarcity and such deprivation that they literally rose up against the rulers. The ruling elite class unfortunately killed a bunch of them off, the masses of them, and took over. So deprivation and scarcity has been around an awfully long time. And if you look at some of the various things through the ages that have been going on, it would occur that people have sort of been pushed into deprivation and scarcity. This for many, many hundreds of years, especially when there were ruling classes and lords and all of that. People were literally the masses of the population forced into scarcity. They couldn't even own their own land. A lot of them have their own whatever they want to do, their own particular jobs that they go out and make good money. And all of that, so because they were forced to be serfs, or they were forced to give their money to a landowner in massive amounts through the years. You know, all of this has been going on for a long time. Like, we know the stories. If we look and think about humanity, right, it doesn't occur through the ages like the masses of people have been super successful, does it? It doesn't occur like they've had plenty of money and plenty of ability to do what they want and live a great life, right? We don't think the masses, and there's smaller pockets of people, right, that have done that, obviously through the ages. But if you think back, you kind of think back on all the stories you've ever heard, right, of going back hundreds of years and whatever else. It sort of seems like the masses of the population has been in deprivation and scarcity. And so you wonder, has there been a trying to put people into deprivation and scarcity? Was that actually something that the ruling classes or the rich or some of those individuals would want? Well, arguably yes, because of course they want to control the population. They want to have the money for themselves, put it all in their coffers, right? and um and have the power over the people. The rich, what we call these rich elite, if you will, for lack of a better word. But then you go, but well, we've come a long way since the Middle Ages and since the times of Jesus, for instance, and we've come a long way, and now we've got it, like we got it going on. We got the money. Except, do we? Do we actually have the largesse such that we don't feel like we're constantly struggling for money? Do we have our, if you will, our fair share of the largesse? Does it seem that way? Does it seem like the mass of the population? Now, the United States is the richest country in the world, but even for us, the richest country in the world, doesn't it feel for many of us like we live paycheck to paycheck, always fighting that scarcity, that deprivation, that scarcity, that deprivation? And there's a lot of middle class people with nice houses and all this, but still always like worried about money, right? And then you got the lower and the bottom rung, the lower class, if you will, for lack of a better word, who like never has enough money, and there are masses and masses of them, especially in the inner cities, right? So you got the masses of people in inner cities and whatnot, nowhere near enough money. Then you got the middle class, they got seemingly enough money, but they're always feeling like there's not enough, right? And there's always like more and more and more and more bills to pay, more and more and more and more and more, right? Like it's never enough, there's never enough money to cover it all and still have a great, enjoyable life. It seems like it's always a struggle for masses of the population. And I count myself among those. You know, I had a period of time when I was married to my husband when there was a lot of largesse because his programming, quote unquote, coming from a richer family, quote unquote, he had money, right? I didn't. I came programmed from, scarcity and lack. And then after we divorced, I was back to scarcity and lack, right? And it's only just in the most recent times that I have actually come to that point where I'm feeling like, okay, I can sort of breathe a little bit in the world of money. Like I don't have to concern myself with it, right? It's not like my driving force every morning of my day, just like, try to make sure that I have enough money to live and support my kids and whatever else. So, and I want us to consider that this has literally, this is not by accident. Because there's plenty of resources on this planet. There's so many resources on this planet that literally could feed the entire planet 5 times over if this whole thing was managed a little better, right? So let's consider that this has been a sort of a programming for us. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, first of all, we know over the past decade or so, right, we've seen a lot of evidence of people on one side or the other being sort of programmed in a certain direction, right? So we know that somebody with money and power and not a very nice kind of disposition, if you will, there are some buddies out there that are looking to do some pretty yucky stuff out there. So doesn't it make some sense that maybe there would be people, individuals, who would be interested in not having the population succeed, in having the population stay in deprivation, scarcity, anxiety, etc., because it's easier to control that population. It's much harder to control a population who has their freedom. Their life is comfortable, and if they're if they feel all set and they're enjoying their life and they're loving their life, there's no way you can move people in a certain direction. It's when they're not enjoying their life and not loving their life, that's when you can move them. And that's how, by the way, communism came out, by telling masses and masses and masses of people, you will have a better situation if you overthrow this government and let us take care of everything. And that didn't come out too well because they were even in worse deprivation and poverty. And that's how the situation in Germany came about. They were in deprivation and poverty. Some leader comes in and says you'll have a much better situation if you get rid of all these people over here, right, who are taking your money, or they said that wasn't true, but who are taking your money, right? And then they were in a worse shape when the whole thing was over, right? They were not in a better situation. So it's been this programming to tell people over and over and over again, we're going to fix up your situation and never fix it up, right? It's kind of like in the inner cities, same thing. Every politician, especially if we talk Democrat politician, oh yes, we're going to come in and fix up and you're going to have all the money you need. And then they come in and nothing changes. And arguably, the welfare system. Because here's all the money you need, except we're not going to give you enough to have a great life. We'll give you enough to have a barely sustainable life. And then you're going to make sure that we always give you that little bit for a barely sustainable life, right? It's a kind of a programming. As a matter of fact, in the 1960s, right after JFK passed away, we had President Lyndon B. Johnson. He was the one that came up with this brilliant idea of this specific kind of welfare program that we have, making changes to it or whatever. It had come about in an earlier times of Franklin D. Roosevelt, but making changes in a certain way that he literally said, because he wasn't a very nice guy and he did not like people of color, he literally said, this is how we're going to keep them in line. We can't enslave them really, but we'll enslave them in the mind. He knew that giving people just that handout of the bare existence, but having them afraid in terror to lose that little bit was going to keep them set exactly where they are. And then I went into personal growth and development. And I learned it's all about this up here, right? If this up here tells you that you're always going to be scraping and struggling and trying to survive, right? Then it's never going to happen for you. To have an abundant mindset, you must change that mindset. And you must think, wow, there's plenty out there. I'm going to let go of that little pittance of that help from the government, because I know there's plenty out there, and I know I can go and get it, and I know I have all these wonderful talents and skills and everything else, and I can go and get it. And by the way, I did that myself when I was on there for a space of time with my children, but I said, no, it was demeaning the way they treated you, and the looking down on you. You began to believe that you don't have any power yourself. So there's like a total system in place to make everybody believe that they don't have any power around money. But now we can look at the entire money system. And our money system came in with the Federal Reserve, who took away a bunch of rich elites who said, government, you really don't know how to take care of money, so you just give it to us, a private enterprise, and we'll just take care of your money for you. Don't worry about it a thing. We'll call ourselves federal, so everybody will think we're with the government, but we'll just take care of your money. And they did. They took care of it and stocked it away into their own bank accounts, while they caused arguably entire countries' economies to collapse. And they messed with the dollar. They took the dollar off the gold back so they could mess with it and do what they wanted with it, and do what they wanted out in the world, and basically control the entire planet. Now, what's very interesting, there was a whole bunch of people that did not agree with this Federal Reserve coming in. And what happened to those bunch of big, rich bankers that were freedom-loving bankers? Guess what? They all went down in the Titanic. How about that? Isn't that just so convenient? And it was the year after that they brought in all of this nonsense. So arguably there has been something going on. And then what happened with John F. Kennedy? He said, nope. A bunch of things he said about this time that arguably may have led to his unfortunate demise. But one thing he said was, we're taking that dollar, we're going to put the gold back to dollar again. We're going to have it like point for point. We can only put out the amount of money that we have in our Federal Reserves. In our reserves, I don't mean the Federal Reserve Bank. I mean in our reserve supply, which was supposed to be out in Fort Knox, although that's questionable now. But this is all true. This is all stuff that actually is provable that I'm telling you. He said, President Kennedy, I'm going to put the dollar back on the gold standard. And it was shortly after that he went away. And that was not a problem. That was convenient. Wasn't that very convenient? And now we can mess with the economy any way we want to. And we can say it's for your good, but guess what? As we're crashing the economies of entire countries and going in and buying up all the land and putting all that money in our coffers, right? Right? We're doing it for you. And what's really true is what I was told in my personal growth is that anybody can do anything and can have any amount of largesse. just by the power of this divine God spark that we are. On that note, if you're enjoying my my messages and you would like to, I appreciate, first I want to say, appreciate, deep gratitude to those of you who have supported me, buy me a coffee or super thanks. And anyone who wants to do that, I'm much appreciative of it. That's the program. The programming is that even when we say, use the I am words and say, I am, like for instance, broke, or I am poor, or I am destitute, or I don't have 2 nickels to rub together. When we say that with our divine God spark of a mouth and using our divine God spark consciousness, it comes true. And we've been programmed that way. Like it's fed to us. Like be careful of how much you spend. Money doesn't grow on trees. All these sayings, right? These sayings that have come at us all the time. What do you think? I'm made out of money. Our parents say it. I mean, everybody says it, right? We all just keep programming each other. It wasn't enough that these rich, quote unquote, elite, not so nice folks wanted to control us all and began the process in the various ways that they did it. But now we got to program ourselves and program each other. Like there's so many things out there you can make use of, affirmations to try to shift this. And the first thing, like just letting go of that thing that doesn't work for you. If it's a job that doesn't work for you, not paying you enough, let it go and know that you can go and find the next thing. If it's that you're getting that assistance, can you step away from it a little bit at a time? Can you go out and say, I know I can do something. I know I have these gifts and I know I have talents, and start to wean yourself off of that, right? It's a self kind of programming too that we're doing to ourselves, to believe that we have to rely on that little pittance and we can't get out there and make a great life for ourselves. So just encouraging you, and to know, like when you really, really, really want something, just get it. I'm not saying every time like something comes to your mind. I mean, when you really, really, really want something, don't say to yourself, I can't have it. By the way, I'm working on an RV, that I can go around the country, and I am getting it. Period. End of story. I'm putting it out there and I am getting it. Watch and see. And that's what you have to do. You have to either put that money on the barrel head for the thing that you want, or like, I'm doing it, period, end of story. No more of this, I can't, I don't have enough, all that. That's a programming. It's not possible. No more of thinking that even that villa on the Riviera is not possible. Everything is possible. You are divine sparks of God. It's all possible. So go out and get your affirmations, find them where you may, start retraining, start reprogramming, and watch the stuff, the muck and mire coming out of your mouth. Make sure nothing comes out of your mouth except what you want to happen in your life. Okay, beloved ones, I'm sending you that beautiful fifth dimensional energy. The love, the peace, the joy, the bliss, the abundance, like the total, complete prosperity and abundance coming at you now. Namaste. I honor the God in you.